Yo, hey guys, it's poppin'. Jacques Slade here, back with another unboxing, and today I've got something that I'm gonna say it's special, but it's special for a bunch of different reasons. In the sneaker world, there are a lot of shoes that are considered the greatest of all time. Some people say the Chuck Taylor is the greatest shoe of all time. People say the Superstar is the greatest shoe of all time. Some people say the Air Jordan 1 is the greatest shoe of all time. The Air Jordan 11, the Adidas Boost, the number and the shoes, the Puma Clyde, those shoes just go on and on and on. But I'm not saying this shoe here is the greatest shoe of all time, but I am going to say, and hear me out, I want you to hear me out, I'm going to say that this shoe is one of the most important shoes of all time. And just because you haven't seen it until recently doesn't mean it's not important. And I want to break it down just a little bit. So while I do that, I'll break out the shoe. So this shoe is made by a guy named Tinker Hatfield, who you guys are probably familiar with. Tinker is a designer for Nike. He designed lots of Nike shoes. He designed a lot of Jordan shoes, but this is one of the shoes that I believed really changed his career. It took him on a different sort of path. It was because of this shoe, it enabled him to do things and to see things in a way that really changed the future, I would say, the future of sneakers as a whole, and changed the perception of sneakerheads as a whole. So let's get right into the box and take a look here. As you see, it's a traditional black and red box, has Tinker's signature there. Then on the inside, they have the elephant foot paper, and there you have the shoe. So this is the Air Jordan 3 Tinker Hatfield. Big shout out to my man Nick over at Sneaker History. He let me borrow his pair. I haven't been able to get a pair of these quite yet, but this is the shoe. So let's take that out and get a look at these, because they are it's a really fantastic, I would say, specimen of a shoe. It shows the thought process, it shows the work, it shows the design, it shows a lot of things that really brought this shoe and made the Air Jordan 3 one of the most popular shoes ever. Now, when it comes to sneakerheads, a lot of them will fall back to the Air Jordan 1. And the Air Jordan 1 is an important shoe. It's the shoe that introduced us to Michael Jordan, but it wasn't designed by Tinker Hatfield. It was when Jordan just came into the league. He was a rookie and he wasn't as big as he obviously became to be. But it was with the Air Jordan 3 that I feel like Nike hit its stride with Jordan's line. It was the Air Jordan 3, the Air Jordan 4, and the Air Jordan 5 are the shoes that really, I think, helped mold the Air Jordan line. The 1 and the 2, they were both dramatically different. If you look at the Air Jordan 1 and then you look at the Air Jordan 2, you see two dramatically different shoes. But if you look at the Air Jordan 3, the Air Jordan 4, and the Air Jordan 5, you'll see the design language, if that makes any sense. And this is gonna get a little bit nerdy into the sneaker world, but you see the design language of the 3, 4, and the 5 really start to come together and start to shape and mold what we expected from Jordan brand. So this shoe, as you can see, has some differences from the Jordan 3 that we all know and the Jordan 3 that we all love. First of all, and the biggest thing, is the Nike swoosh. So the Nike Air has was originally on the back of the Air Jordan 3, but at one point it was on the side of the Air Jordan 3. And just that addition, just the addition of the swoosh, it changes the look, it changes the feel of the shoe, and makes it completely different. Thankfully, Tinker had the foresight that even though this was his original drawing, and this goes to show you that you shouldn't fall in love with your very first piece of work, that there's always room for refinements and there's always room to make things better. And I think that's what happened with this shoe. Tinker saw what he created. He saw that the Nike swoosh was there to make the marketing people happy. The marketing people wanted the swoosh there. Obviously they do. That's part of the brand of Nike. The brand of Nike is this giant swoosh. You see it everywhere. You see it on everything. Even to today, it's on nearly every single shoe, with the exception of the LeBron, which released this year, that basically got rid of the swoosh and left it here on the back, on the heel. Nod to the Air Jordan 3. I believe that taking the swoosh off of the upper and just leaving it there, letting people know that yes, this is a Nike shoe, but the shoe isn't defined by Nike. It's defined by the performance, it's defined by the athlete, and it's defined by the design. So that's what happened here. Tinker decided that he didn't like the Nike swoosh there, removed the Nike swoosh, and let the team at Nike know that the shoe needs to live based on the athlete. It needs to live based on its performance. And I think it's one of those moments, and moments like that, that really helped make this shoe one of the most important shoes of all time. Because every shoe after this, there is no Nike sign on the Air Jordan line, it's with the exception of the Air Jordan 31. That shoe has the Nike swoosh. They brought it back, but that was because it was a combination of the Air Jordan 1 and the Air Jordan 30, and kind of combined them together to get to, the Air Jordan 1 and the Air Jordan 31 to combine them together. And it was like a throwback to the past, but it showed the differentiation of removing the brand of the shoe and allowing the athlete to live on its own. Now, another thing that was removed is the Nike here on the inside of the shoe. Tinker decided to go with a clean aesthetic for the shoe. He wanted the shoe to live on its own. The tumbled leather, the elephant print, the colors, let those things shine. Let them be who they are without relying on the Nike swoosh. A lot of times we throw the brand or a logo on there and it helps to, in a way, to qualify something. But Tinker felt strong enough about MJ's game and about his design that it didn't need this to survive. It didn't need this Nike here to survive. And after all these years and after all that time, he was right. He believed enough in his shoe and he believed enough in his design that he was able to escape that world where he was confined by the Nike swoosh, that you had to place the Nike swoosh on there. Which, of course, after that, we know the history of the Jordan line. We know that it went on to be one of the most successful subsidiaries of any sneaker brand of all time. It's literally its own brand now. Jordan Brand is its own company. Tinker is still designing, and that's what, 30 years later, it's still standing on its own, but it's because of design decisions made by guys like Tinker Hatfield and other designers that really helped mold the line. Now, we've never seen this shoe before this year. Who knows what would have happened or how the public would have accepted the shoe if it would have looked like this. It looks a lot like the Flight 89. This may be how the Flight 89 came into be, but when it came to Jordan, this shoe removed some of those things because of Tinker. And I say that to you guys, as when you're doing things, sometimes what you don't see and what you take away from things is literally just as important as what you leave in there. And I personally believe, as a sneaker guy, as a guy that's been doing this for years, and a guy that creates videos, and a guy that loves shoes, I believe that the removal of this Nike sign, the removal of this, helped establish Jordan Brand in a way that set it apart from the rest of Nike. It gave it its own lane. It allowed it to flourish and grow and be and mature almost all on its own, and it's all because of the mind of Tinker Hatfield and him pushing and prodding and not going with the status quo and creating something that was different. In my mind, I feel that's a lot of what's happening with the LeBron 15, with the shoe really going into its own. It's a different type of shoe now. It's in a different place, and it establishes the athlete as the athlete and not just an endorser of the brand. This is Jordan. The Air Jordan 3, in my mind, represents what Jordan means to Nike. It represents the change, the shift It represents the maturity of living on your own and striking out on your own and earning your own stripes. And I think that's a lot what's happening with the LeBron 15. LeBron's having an amazing season this year, and it's really him stepping out and really separating himself from the rest, from the conversations about who's good, who's the best, who's better. LeBron's separating himself in that conversation, and it's just perfect timing that the LeBron 15 is really separating itself from the rest of the LeBron line by being on its own and being what it is. Anyway, so those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. I think this is a fine specimen. This is a piece of history. I think this gives us a glimpse into the history of Nike, into the history of Jordan, into the mind of Tinker Hatfield, and how he's able to put things in, take them away, and make something totally new and totally different that we all fall in love with, which is a big deal in my eyes. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, favorite, subscribe, and all of that good stuff, and make sure you stay tuned because I have something coming for you guys tomorrow that I think you're really going to appreciate. As always, I'm Jacques Slade, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.